How can you be frugal when you're out of ideas? When you feel like you've tried absolutely everything you could possibly try and you still need to take it down a notch somewhere? Let's talk about that today. So I have a few tips on what I do and what I think about when I realize that I need to take it down a notch. The first thing is change it up. Change up what you're doing in some way. Think about all the things you do during the day and how can you change it up. I know this is not a tip anybody's going to want to use, but I drink day-old coffee, and I told you I have just learned to drink coffee in the last year and a half, and my husband says that's gross, I won't do it. I cannot tell the difference. I pour it, I heat it up in the microwave, I add my creamer. It's a little bit stronger, and I already told you I like strong coffee. I can't tell the difference. And on the days that I'm working at home alone and he's not here, I just saved an entire pot of coffee that I would have normally made. So I changed it up a bit. It worked. I'm going with it. But that doesn't mean that has to be your tip. I'm just trying to get you to think about ways that you can change up what you already do to save yourself some money. The second tip I have is to cut back. Cut back on things that you're doing or using or finding ways to cut back in your daily life to save yourself money. What can you cut back on? Can you cut back on how often you wash your hair? My hair is naturally a drier hair. And so I found that if I only wash my hair about once a week or twice a week, it actually does better. And so rather than buying a moisture shampoo, I just cut back on how often I wash my hair. And it actually keeps the color in longer if you color your hair as well. And I color my hair at home. I always have. So what can you cut back on? Something that you already do that you can cut back in a way that you already do it to save yourself some money. Give me some tips in the comments below and let's work together to save money. Number 3, have no use days. Days that you don't use something that you normally would use every single day. Have days that you don't wear makeup. And I do that. In fact, I do that more often than not now. And all I wear is some eyeliner. And my husband doesn't even notice if I skip the eyeliner. Days that I feel like I'm looking really bad, I may use some cover powder. But I've cut back to using the Dollar Tree cover powder. It's $1.25 versus having a very expensive $9 or $10 cover powder, and it gets the job done, and I haven't noticed any difference. So what can you do to make it a no-use day in some way? Can you make it a day that you don't order anything online? Can you make it a day that you don't go anywhere in your car? And then my next tip is to stop buying it and then justifying it. We are so easily persuaded nowadays to go out and get what we need. We hear the needs versus wants, and we think if we need it, that justifies that we buy it. But as I've told you before, when I grew up, and even still, just because I need it doesn't mean I go buy it. I substitute, I change it up. I figure out some other way to handle whatever I needed, or I just go without for a while longer. We have to stop ordering things and then justifying that we ordered them. That's what makes it so hard for us to pay our bills. With that mindset, we keep that going and we're like, well, I needed it, so that made it okay, right? Not if you couldn't afford it. If you couldn't afford it, then you didn't need it that bad. That ordering online, it started out being for people for COVID and for sick people and for old people that couldn't carry their groceries. And we have progressed to it being for everybody just because it's simpler and easier, and sometimes we're just plain lazy and we just want it delivered to our door and we don't want to take the time to look for it. And that takes me to the next step. Convenience should not be normal. We think that if it's convenient, that that is just part of our lifestyle and that that is just the way it is done. But so many times that convenience comes with a price. And it usually comes with a price that we really can't afford. So think about the next time you do things. Have you stepped up your game somewhere which has cost you money to provide more convenience in your day-to-day life? And then think about how convenience shouldn't be normal and what can you do instead that would save you money. 35 years ago, I knew people who made minimum wage and had housekeepers. I couldn't believe it. I had small children, they had small children, they had a housekeeper. I thought, how in the world could you afford a housekeeper? But she said, I deserve it. I have small kids, I work all week. Well, so do I. I always have. But I didn't feel like it was worth the money to my household to do something I could already do myself. We've never had a lawn care guy as long as we can do it ourselves. We have never paid for people to wash our car because we can do it ourselves. Now, if it ever gets to the point that I can't do it myself, then I would look at other ways to make that happen. But as long as I can do it for myself, that's money that stays in my pocket. And the next step that I have for you to think about is to lower your standards. Doesn't that sound crazy? But we have found that as we raise our standards, things get more expensive. And as we raise our standards, we start expecting that to be the norm. We expect that convenience or that lifestyle to be the normal way to do things. And then, as my dad always said about property taxes, they go up, they don't come down. So as you're thinking about raising your standards in anything that you do, realize that once you raise them, they usually don't come back down. And then that's where that lifestyle creep happens. And you start spending more money than you can afford because your standards have been raised in how you're living. And then the last tip I have is to keep a list of things to do. When I find that I keep lists of things to do, I stay busy and I'm not looking for ways to spend money or looking for things to do that cost me money. I have lists of things I want to do all the time. I want to clean out the garage. I want to go through that spare bedroom. I want to go through my closet. There's always things that I want to do when I have time. And I think we're all that way. We all are always thinking, well, when I have time, I'll do this. Or when I have time, I'll do that. But I just don't have the time. Make a list for things you want to get done when you have the time. And then on those Saturdays or Sunday afternoons that you get bored and you're looking for something to do and you know you're tempted to spend money or leave the house, pick one of those things off that list and get that done. My husband and I did that last Sunday. We have a room that we've made into a walk-in closet because I have an old farmhouse with no closets. And it was primarily his stuff. But we took the day and we went through it together and we organized it. It had some Christmas paper and things in it. We found more Christmas paper so I don't have to buy any this year. And we just organized that room. And by doing that, it kept us from spending money. We found things we could use that were going to save us money. We felt accomplished at the end of the day. And at the end of the day, there are days that you just feel like you didn't accomplish anything. And maybe that is a day that you really needed to just be lazy. And that's okay. But there's days that I really feel like I need to accomplish something. And when we got done at the end of the day and we looked at that room, we were really proud of ourselves. We got something off of our list done. We felt accomplished. We found things that saved us money that I don't have to buy. And the room is neat and tidy now. So keep that list of things to do and then pick one of those things off that list when you feel like you have an afternoon that you might get yourself in trouble by spending some money. I hope that these cheap, frugal ideas were helpful to you, and if they were, please subscribe or like the video if you enjoyed it. And then also, please check out my 50 Frugal Recipes when living on a budget book that is on Amazon. It makes a great Christmas gift. It has Depression era recipes all the way through the 1900s, and they are favorites of my family. So you have a great day, and thank you for joining me today.